You know, Stephen Miller had been around Washington a long time, too, and the other thing that happens in Washington is that what you do when you find out information can get you in a lot more trouble than the information you found out. So hard to believe that after 25 years at the IRS, he decided, you know, I'm just going to keep this to myself.
There are lots of questions still surrounding the IRS targeting of Tea Party groups. Michigan Congressman Andrea Levin is the top Democrat on the House Ways and Means Committee, which has been holding hearings on the controversy, and joins me now from Capitol Hill. Congressman, thank you very much. Were you satisfied with what you heard from Stephen Miller, the acting commissioner?
No. I think it's very clear, as I said many days ago, he should have been relieved, and he was relieved of his duties. Terrible mismanagement, the use of criteria that never should have been used, signaling out groups like Tea Party or any other political group, and I think the failure to keep us posted. I wasn't satisfied, and I think for all those reasons, his departure was absolutely necessary.
Is it credible to you that the IG report was communicated at certain levels, but that somehow the president didn't know about it, that the White House counsel learned of it perhaps 3 weeks ago now, and learned of the conclusions, not just the fact that there was an investigation going on, but that the White House chief of staff, the president never learned? How do we know how contained that is?
Well, we'll have to find out. I think it is credible. The IG said there was no political interference. Also, there was no outside interference. And 3 weeks ago, apparently, there was information given to the White House that a report was coming out. What would people want the White House to do? Not interfere with the report, not try to influence it, but essentially to respond to it when it was issued. And that's what apparently has happened. And I think if that's what happened, it was appropriate. I think we have to be very careful. I listened to Olympia Snowe. I think she's absolutely right. I think it's so important that we proceed on a bipartisan basis, that we not let this snowball and simply be used for political purposes. I heard Senator McConnell, it was just yesterday, talking about this in the nanny state. And also when our chairman opened up the hearing with his opening statement, he and I had agreed to be bipartisan and talked about a White House culture of cover-up. And when asked, McConnell was asked, what's the evidence for what you say? And he could not come up with any.
Lois Lerner, the key figure who mentioned this at a conference, and apparently there was a set-up question that had been planted in the audience. Why is she still on the job?
I think only because of civil service. I said some days ago she should be relieved of her duties, and she should be. What she did, planting a question if that's what happened, apparently so with ABA, totally, totally inappropriate. And she knew what was going on well before anybody else did in the IRS, apparently. And I think her actions also very much failed the task. I think there was mismanagement on her part. There were changes in criteria, but the way it was handled, I think, was very, very, very inappropriate. And she should be relieved of her functions, I think, as soon as possible under the civil service rules. Soon. I thought it should have happened already.
Now, your colleagues in the Senate, Max Baucus and Orrin Hatch, the chair and ranking Republican on the Senate Finance Committee, have listed a long list of questions that they want answered by the IRS going forward, not just on this. And they've issued that today. Are there a lot of questions now that your committee, that the Ways and Means, needs answered as well, of other investigations, other groups that may have been targeted? How much farther do you think you need to go to get to the bottom of this?
We need to get all the facts. Chairman Camp and I, working together on a bipartisan basis, issue a list of questions. All of them have to be answered, each and every one of them. So there are further committee inquiries going on. The Attorney General has launched his investigation. I think we need to get to the bottom of it. What went wrong in this exempt organization department? What really went wrong? We need to find that out so we don't make the same terrible mistakes once again. We've got to find out everything. That should be our mission here. And I think Olympia Snowe really set the right thing. We've got to change the tone in this town and be able to work on a bipartisan basis, and we should be able to do this on the IRS investigation and everything else. It's critical we do it that way.
Congressman, is one of the casualties here going to be tax reform? Because that is an all-consuming venture, which we know would be centered in your committee and Senate Finance. Does this oversight mean that you're not going to get the time to do that?
I hope not. The difficulty of turning this too much into a political effort will be, it will undermine other efforts like tax reform, like immigration action, like work on gun violence issues. We've got a major task ahead of us, and we need to be sure at every step we do it the right way. And somehow, in this very, very heightened political atmosphere, we need to find a way to handle ourselves in a bipartisan way. If we don't, in this case, it could affect everything else. And I think Olympia Snowe has sent a warning that that's a real danger. She left because we couldn't do anything on a bipartisan basis. We need to have these investigations done on a bipartisan basis so we can do other things on a bipartisan basis. Otherwise, I think the public is going to feel even more disenchanted about government, and I think we need to be sure that we don't let that happen.
Senator Levin, Congressman, thank you very much on the Ways and Means investigation on IRS.